Peace and welcome to Ceremony, Devotion and Action. I'm your host, Planting Seeds with Bree. Here we believe every word, thought, action, and intention is an offering of devotion. In this space, you can find me having open, honest, and raw conversations with people who have walked into the fire of change only to be reborn anew. Individuals who live their lives out loud and on purpose.
Peace. This is Planting Seeds with Bree. I'm Bree. And welcome to Ceremony, Devotion and Action. It is so good to be back. And this season is a little different for those that are watching on Facebook. I was not on YouTube. That are watching on YouTube. I wasn't on YouTube. Last season, it was just audio. But this season, I wanted to add something different. I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to kind of get to know me more and be very much more vulnerable on my end. So I decided to record these as well as when I have guests on. So that you can see our conversation and our interactions in real time. You can find this recording on Spotify and Apple Music as well. So I just want to start by just taking a few breaths of alignment, just to allow ourselves to really come into the space and be fully present. So if it feels good, you can place one palm on your chest, one palm on your belly. And I love deep belly breaths because they allow me to really be present and tap into my body. So you can take some with me. Or if you're driving, you can just don't close your eyes. Just breathe with us. A few collective breaths. On the exhale, release everything through the mouth. Allowing the shoulders to melt away from the ear. And feel for grounding down through your sit bones. Take a deep inhale through the nose, allowing the belly and chest to expand. And when you get to the top, hold it for a moment. Allowing the breath to gather and collect anything and everything that no longer serves you. Exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. And we'll take one more breath, just like that. When you're ready, deep inhale through the nose, belly, chest, upper back expands, holding at the top. And bring your awareness to your shoulders. Notice if you're rounding forward, and if so, gently draw them back and down your back. Exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. Begin to notice if you can keep the length that you just placed into your spine. Unclench your jaw. And notice if you're holding on to any tightness anywhere in the body. And when you're ready, you can softly open your eyes. So I think I'm going to start every episode like that. One, because it feels super incredible and super juicy to me. And I know that the power of the breath, especially when we're having really vulnerable and raw and authentic, if we want them to be authentic conversations, helps us or helps me to be more present. And just in general, like, think about the last time you had an unpleasant or a tough conversation, how your body tensed up, or in those moments where you had to speak your truth and, you felt that tenseness, that tightness. The beautiful thing about the breath is that she's always available. She's always there to assist us when we need her. So in this episode, you'll just be sitting with me, just me and you and me, all that. And I'm gonna do every other episode, you'll get me. So these will be shorter episodes and I'll just be talking on different topics. And something that I have personally been working with in my life is walking in more authenticity. Like, what does that look like? What does that mean? How do I do this thing? And for me, authenticity is that is a core part of the core of who I am. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. That's why I share as much as I do. That's why I do the work that I do on myself, is to be super authentic. But what does that mean, right? Like, we hear these words thrown around and they sound pretty, and we see the pictures on Instagram and, they're so colorful and, everything is perfect, and it's the perfect lighting, and it's, perfect makeup and the eyebrows and all these things, right? And then these little snippets of quotes of I love authenticity or whatever. But what does that mean? And I think for each of us, authenticity may look, feel, sound different. You know what I mean? It may even taste different when we think about what does that taste like that medicine that we take in. What does authenticity taste like? And it's different for all of us. But I think becoming very clear about what it means to us is so important. And so in being transparent, right? In cultivating season 2, I was faced with that. I was faced with that truth of, okay, season 1 was great and I got all this feedback and a lot of likes and people really resonated with it. And I almost felt like I had to top it, right? I gotta do this different, and I should, have titles, and I should do all these things. And so I started moving in that path of trying to change my offering to fit what everyone else desired. And somewhere in that, I got lost in the sauce, and it started not to feel good. It started to feel like, I don't want to do this. This isn't what I envisioned. This isn't what I desire. And so I had to have a real conversation with myself. What is your why behind this? Because if the why is driven by likes or by followers or by people patting you on the back and saying good job, that's a shitty ass why. And it will never be good enough. It will never be good enough. But if my why is driven by my desire to feed myself and to have authentic conversations, if my why is driven by the desire to be seen, felt, and acknowledged on a very vulnerable level, then that's a good one. If my why is driven by wanting to share these amazing stories that people have collected and cultivated in their lives, that's a great reason. And so it was literally like dissecting and breaking down, like, okay, I know I want to be authentic, but what does that mean to me at this time in my life? And so I came up with certain words that I was like, okay, like this is what being authentic in my life looks like right now. And one of them was being bold. And that is making bold choices, is making choices that sometimes people won't agree with. And guess what? They don't have to. It looked like doing things because I desired them, not because I was concerned about if my following would grow or if my offering would resonate with certain people. Like, no, that's not why I do this. And that also took courage. Courage is a big part, in my opinion, to cultivating authenticity, because it's so easy to get drawn into, societal pressures, familiar pressures, social media, the whole like algorithm things, and, projecting this image of that, like, we have it all figured out. Projecting the image that everything is good all the time. And that's not the case. I admire the people who share themselves and who tell their stories, even when it doesn't feel good. Like, don't give me, like, I don't want the ending. I don't like, I'm happy to see like you come out the other side, but tell me, for me, I want to know about the time when you were in your home alone and you cried because it just felt like you were being called to give in ways that you didn't know if you could. I want to know how you pulled yourself out of that. I want to know what you did in those moments, because those are the defining moments, and it takes courage to share. Like, we look at people and we tend to say, okay, oh, they're here, like they got to this point, and like we just look at that point. We don't know the story behind it. And me, I'm like, ooh, tell me the story, because I know for a fact that to get to that point, you have had your ass kicked. You have had to learn some lessons. You have had to develop some wisdom and grace. And I know, because you cultivate that, because you went through that, that's why you're a juicy, vibrant being, because you allowed yourself to get into that arena and say, you know what, let's go. I don't know who I'm dancing with today. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know the steps, but I know what I'm showing up for my life. And that takes courage. And I think we all need to be more aware, because I know when you're in the midst of going through those lessons and it feels like they're L's, but really they're wins, you got to change that perspective. It feels like nothing, like it feels like the end. Trust me, I know. But we have to like look at it different, because in those moments, honey, I promise you, like, that's when ish gets real. And again, it's all about the perspective. That is the one thing that 2020 taught me, is to always change the perspective. And is it easy? No. Do I always win that battle? No, I'm not going to get up here and fake the funk. No. It is hard. But what's the alternative? To cower and not stand in my light? No. Like, we got to start owning our light. So it's this beautiful blend of like courage, being bold, honesty. And we're going to talk about the honesty piece, because for me, that is like, it's uber important. And to me, like, the honesty piece and the vulnerability to me kind of go hand in hand. Like, It takes courage to share your truth. It takes courage to share parts of yourself, to allow yourself to be seen. That takes courage, but we also have to be honest with our sharing, right? And it took me a while to feel comfortable sharing my truth. I remember moments where my lips would literally quiver and I could feel like, you know, when you talk, like when you're speaking and your voice like gets high pitched, mine would always do that. And I'd be like, I could feel myself like almost I wanted to cry. It felt like it sounded like a crying voice, but then like very scared. And I had to keep showing up. I had to keep saying my truth. I had to keep going into the arena. I had to keep like, you know, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to say this even when my lips quivered and my knees shaked. I had to like be honest. And that just took time. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we grow up and we're not encouraged to speak our truth always. You know, we're kind of, especially for women, sometimes we're like told we have to fit into this box of like, you know, you just need to be pretty and people need to like you. And that desire to be liked allows us to like push our truth to the side and not be honest, and keeps us from growing in ways that we really need to. So as a woman, as an adult, I've had to unlearn a lot of behaviors that kept me playing small, that kept me in a box. And I had to learn how to be honest and how to say, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good. This is what I need. And especially in regards to relationships, either platonic or romantic. Like I'm getting comfortable. I'm not gonna lie with y'all. I'm getting more comfortable saying my needs and desires. Like, hey, this is what I need in this partnership or this friendship. Like, are you willing to do this? And some people are like, no, I'm not, you know, I'm not capable. I'm not in the space where I can give you this. And of course, like sometimes it's like, oh, wow, like I really wanted you in my life. But would I rather go down the road and then be like, oh, this is what I expected and you couldn't meet my needs? Or would I rather say, like, I explain what my needs and my desires, what I needed to be met, and you couldn't reach them? So we kind of separated ways. Me personally, I'd rather have the latter. Like, I'm going to tell you what I need. You tell me what you need. We see if we can, you know, blend everything to make it work. And if we can't, nothing bad. We just need to move on. And so the last piece of, for me, walking in more authenticity is vulnerability. Henceforth, why I decided to do these kind of sit down conversations with me, you know, sharing more of myself and allowing myself to truly be seen. And the be seen, you know, for me right now is in the physical and also in the emotional and spiritual, to be seen. I think vulnerability a lot of times in the culture that we live in is kind of mistaken for trauma bonding. Because, and I'm raising my hand because I don't have any shame, because I don't allow experiences to shame me. I learn from them. But there was a time where I was so eager to serve, I didn't really study myself enough that I didn't understand that oversharing, not even oversharing trauma is trauma bonding. And a lot of the times we feel like, oh, like someone's sharing their pain and their hurt, and we want to let them know that they're not alone. And so sometimes that becomes like us sharing our trauma and then us creating bonds over this. And then we have this thing, how we're connected. And one thing that I had to learn is that when someone is sharing something, when someone is speaking of themselves, I have had to learn how to be quiet and how to listen. Just listen. There is no need for me to share my experience with them. Like, they are relating to me. If we get to that point, that's fine. But what would it be like if we just listened? We didn't give advice, we just listened. And then if we did want to share, is it okay if I share? Like, asking these questions. And so I've kind of had to rearrange my definition of vulnerability. And one person that has the best definition of vulnerability, in my opinion, is Brene Brown. I love her definition of vulnerability. And that is emotional exposure, risk, and uncertainty. And I just adore that, because when we're vulnerable, right? When I think of vulnerability, I think of stepping out as my full self, not the personas, not the mask that I wear to other people, right? It's like taking off that mask and being fully myself with everyone that I interact with. I remember at one point in my life, I believe it was a book I was reading, and I can't remember the name of the book. I'll try to think of it and maybe put it in the show notes or whatnot. But he asked you a question to, like, if you were in a room with, people that you knew, would you be the same person with all of them, or would you be a different person with all of them? And I remember how that made me feel in my body. Like, that hit me in such a different way. That was a huge turning point in my life, because I realized, like, oh shit, I would literally be a different person with most of the people that knew me. Like, if they all got in a room, I could remember feeling like I would have to switch up. Like, I'd have to be like this breed of them. Like, some would know me as Brianna. It would just be different. And that didn't feel good in my body. That didn't settle well with me at all. So I had to work on myself to be like, okay, like, these are the projections, the personas, the image that I am projecting to the world or to these people. But this, like, the one looking, the seer, that's who I really am. And why am I afraid to show that part of me? Because that's vulnerability. I don't know how I'm going to be received. I know that if I put on this mask, if I project this person that this person may need, I know they'll accept me. And it keeps going down the line. But if I'm truly myself, if I'm truly the Brianna that I know I'm here to be, if I'm truly that person, if I just take off all these layers and this stuff and my shoulders are no longer heavy, will these people still show up in my life? And that was a real thing. To me, that's the nitty gritty of vulnerability. Is being 100%, 100, okay? 100 of yourself all of the time. Not giving a damn if people choose to show up. Like, that part hit different. So for me, that's always the work. And don't get it twisted. Like, there are times when I can tell if my representative is showing up, or there's times where I have to, like, remind myself, like, we don't play small here. And sometimes I fail. And sometimes I win, but it's something that I keep showing up to. I've gotten really good at removing people in my life that don't resonate with me. You know what I mean? I think we all, like, as we grow, you know, we go to different parts of the building, right? The building is tall. Who knows if we'll ever reach the top? But we get to different floors and we see things different. Literally, your vision starts to change. The way that you view the world, the way that you view yourself, everything starts to look different. And so with moving up higher, with ascending, sometimes the people that we're close with, distance is created. And it's not bad, right? I think we have to get rid of the whole idea that, you know, distance between friends is a bad thing. Some people are in your life for a reason or a season. And when the season ends, the season ends. Take all of the goodness, all of the warmth, all of the love that you've experienced and keep it in your back pocket and just keep loving them, but you just love them from a distance. And I've had to do that, and it's been challenging, but I will say it's been necessary, because I understand that, you know, divine is calling me to other things. A sister friend of mine said this beautiful quote, and it just had me like, wow. Lessons hit different when you understand the divine is cultivating you for something. I'm gonna let that marinate for a minute. Lessons hit different when you understand the divine is cultivating you for something, or preparing you for something. I think she said preparing you for something. I'll have to get the exact quote, but you get it. If the juiciness did not hit you in that moment, I'm gonna need you to sit with that. I'm gonna need you to write that on your mirror. I'm gonna need you to really like lean into that, okay? Because everything that we're doing is preparing us for that next position, that next role, that next offering, that next birth, that next expression. And so the more we step into our authentic selves, the more we release the mask and the armor, the more we allow our truest self to be seen, felt, and acknowledged, the more we give of our gifts. Because I know some of y'all got some gifts that y'all not sharing. Some of y'all got some talents, and something is calling you, but it's that fear. And I'm gonna need you to dance with the fear instead of letting the fear run you. And if you don't know how to dance with fear, honey, that just means, let me just get this right. I want y'all to understand. Dancing with fear is taking it by the hand and doing the damn thing. In the moments where you get scared, let's say you decided, like, I'm gonna dance with fear and I'm gonna write this blog, I'm gonna make this website, I'm gonna sell these things. Dance with it. Take it by the hand and do the damn thing. Because the truth is, our partners in life, this is my own little sauce, okay? Our partners in life are always going to change. Sometimes I dance with fear. Sometimes I dance with grace. And let me tell you something. I can't do that, but y'all insert the little lip smack it. Dancing with grace is like being held by the most wonderful, soft energy. It's loving, it's kind, it's reaffirming, it's affirming. It's something else. It's really something else, dancing with grace. And she comes in, but then she leaves. And sometimes I dance with doubts. You know, you got to kick doubt in the ass. You got to question doubt. You got to question fear. You got to question all these things. You know what I'm saying? So our partners change. Sometimes it's fear, doubt, grace, um, not enoughness, worthiness, all these things, you know what I mean? And so I always say, dance with it. And that may literally mean you get up and shake your hips and wind upon it. You know what I'm saying? But you have to do it. Just take it by the hand, put it in the passenger seat. Y'all Thelma and Louise, y'all ride it, and know that that emotion is not going to stay. Emotions are just that. They're energy and motion. I'm going to say that again. Emotions are just that. They are energy and motion. They will pass, but we have to be present with them, because even the uncertainty, even the doubt, even the fear, it has something to teach us if we're open. Everything can teach us. People that we don't like, people that you want to lay hands on, trust me, they got something to teach you, because it ain't really about them. It's about you, love bug. It's about you. And trust me, I've been there where I really wanted to. I've had a few people. I had a list where I really wanted to lay hands on them. Like, you got me all the way messed up. You know, you do that little change of face. You be like, you got me all the way messed. It was real. They got me all the way messed up, but it was really me that was messed up, because at the end of the day, people don't get to affect my energy. I'm allowing them. That's a whole nother, that's a whole nother word. I'm giving away my power in those moments, and it doesn't feel good, but it's a lesson. I'm gonna come back home. I'm gonna sit with it. Home being the body. Home being that soft, safe space where you can be honest with how you're feeling and what you're feeling. So I really had fun. I really, really did. Fun fact about me. I hate, I literally hate speaking. People are like, I can't tell. You look so comfortable. I'm dancing with fear. That's how I know about her. That's how I know the dance steps. She be switching me up every now and then. She tries to creep in and be like, that's not going to be good enough. That's not long enough. And no, boo. That's why those breaths, they were for you guys, but they were also for me. Because every time I take a deep breath, it's literally like coming home to my body, coming home to my truth, coming home to my divinity. I'm about to cry. Sorry, just had a moment. But somebody give me a tissue and a comment, okay? I'm just having a moment, because when we dance with certain things and we make it out of that dance floor, and then we feel another partner coming on, that's an incredible thing. But you got to get in the arena and you got to dance with whatever that feeling is. Because I danced with fear this whole conversation, wondering if it'd be enough, if I was enough. And now I'm kind of starting to pull away from that fear and dance with grace. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm so, so grateful. Ceremony, Devotion, Action is a offering that was cultivated in my heart. It is a project that I gave birth to, and I'm getting to see the expressions and the impact and just the mutation of it in my life, and getting to share it with people that come on to this platform that I've gotten to interview and that I am interviewing. I'm super, super grateful. And it just amazes me how when we allow ourselves to be guided, when we listen, when we're obedient to spirit, to that calling, to that inner knowing, to beauty, whatever you label or call the Most High, yourself, whatever, how things just fall into line. just when we're obedient and we allow ourselves to be a vessel. My great-great-grandmother, who I commune with often, told me through connection and ceremony, if we're not here to serve, then what are we here to do? If we're not here to serve, then what are we here to do? We are all allowing each other to be seen. We're reminding each other. We're all, this may hit a chord in your spirit, but it's not new. I'm just allowing you to remember. I'm bringing that remembrance to you, and it's touching you in a spot, and you're like, ooh, that made me feel a certain way. That is juicy. Like, I need to explore that. And that's why I do this. This is why I share, is because we're here to serve as reminders. We're here to allow others to remember. So I did it. We did it. We made it through episode 1, season 2. And next week, I will have a guest. I'm not going to say who, but just know they're bringing and they're coming with that medicine. They're coming with that medicine. They're bringing it. They're ready. So, have your water or your tea, because I don't know if it's going to be bitter or sweet. I don't know. For some people, it may be bitter. Maybe sweet for others. Maybe bitter, because, medicine hits us different. So anyways, thank you again so much for tuning in. In the meantime, in between time, you can catch me on Instagram or Facebook at Planting Seeds with Bree. You can also find me and some of my other writings on my website at plantingseedswithbree.com. My little earbuds. I'm a one production woman, one production show. Gonna say something else. We'll end it on this. Healing is your birthright. Recreation is the tool. Sending peace and love.